Today's video is sponsored by Ridge.
Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, we get the pleasure of driving this beautiful 1971 Mercedes-Benz 280 SL. Now, this one has lived a life. It's a little rough around the edges, but it's clean enough to get the vibe. And that's what I love, is when you drive a car that has been driven. It's always nice to drive a pristine example just to really get a feel for how it could have been rolling off the factory floor. But a lot of us can't afford those sort of Pebble Beach concourse level vehicles, and I want to showcase some driver's cars, some normal cars, some of the cars that you and I might be able to afford if the itch struck and we had to have one. Now, you could already tell this is a couple different colors because that quarter panel has definitely been painted and blended. But what I love about this car is the interior. It has a tobacco leather interior and green carpeting, which I think we'll just call avocado. I don't know if that's the case, but under the hood, we have a 2.8 liter single overhead cam inline six, naturally aspirated, of course, and it is mated to a 4-speed manual gearbox. You could option these with an automatic, a 4-speed, or the rare ZF 5-speed, which we did get a taste of when I drove that absolutely choice 250 SL earlier this year. The 280 was a step into luxury. The earlier cars, the 230 and the 250, more sporty, geared at the sports car, and these became softer and more luxurious over time. And the 280 finally got the power and torque it deserved. So let's take a look under the hood. And there she is, definitely a little brown, but it's been used and we love it. It makes 168 horsepower and around 180 pound-feet of torque, giving this vehicle the torque it deserved all along. And some of you might look under the hood and say, oh my goodness, there's some rust. And some of you might look and say, ooh, let's pop that motor out, rebuild it, and then just do the whole chassis over and make a perfect one. And that's what's cool about cars these days, is you can make those types of choices. Other than the gull wing, this is my favorite body style SL. I think they just look so quintessentially Mercedes. The flared wheel arches are gorgeous, and it's such a perfect size. It feels luxurious inside the cabin, and you've got this gorgeous wood trim that wraps around the dashboard. Awesome analog gauges. This is just a proper gentleman's driver's car. And there's plenty of room for stuff. Big old boot with a spare tire. I've got all my stuff in here, and this is how you fill up the fuel tank. External, always good. Don't love it when you have to get inside the trunk of classic cars to fuel it up because you feel like you're going to spill on the carpet. Gluing us to the road is a generous sidewalled 185 section tire on a 14-inch wheel all around. Something I genuinely appreciate about these cars too is the ride height. There's incredible ground clearance, so you're not going to have to worry about country roads, speed bumps. You can pretty much travel anywhere on this without trashing it. So let's get out there, start it up, hope for some dry weather because I'd really not like to have to put the top up in the rain right now, and do some driving in this thing.
It's always a good time to switch to Ridge. Of course, you know it holds up to 12 cards plus room for cash or an Apple AirTag attachment, so you'll never lose your wallet again. Plus, Ridge key cases compactly carry 1 to 6 keys and prevent that annoying jingle. But right now, Ridge is partnered up with Hennessy for a brilliant sweepstakes. For every dollar you spend, you get one entry for a chance to win $75,000 in cash or a Hennessy Ford Bronco Velociraptor. Ridge has over 80,000 5-star reviews, and the durable material means each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. Enter for free at ridge.com/Tedward and get additional entries for every dollar you spend. Plus, if you use my link, you'll get 10 bonus entries. And of course, that link is still going to give you 10% off your order.
One of the coolest things about these cars is the doors. I mean, look at the roller on this thing for the detents to hold it open certain places. It's just, everything's so industrial. It's like a bank vault. And we have a proper little dainty stick shift here. I like that. And a handbrake. 3 pedals, of course. Key and ignition. Let's start it up. jumps right to life. Now there are some indicator lights here. This red, I'm assuming, is voltage because it's idling a little low. So when we get the revs up, that goes away. So that's just telling me it probably just needs some revs for the alternator. No horn. Okay, we'll just have to yell really loud if anything goes wrong. Handbrake right here. So third's a little crunchy. I found it's easy to get into if I'm really gentle with it and like feather into a downshift. See, slips right in. The ride of these things are so good. They're supple, there's some body roll, but they respond. They still feel sporty despite the luxury. It's just such a unique sensation. There are cars that you buy for the chassis, there are cars that you buy for the power, the engine, the exhaust note, all kinds of things. These old SLs, you buy them for the total package, although these inline sixes sound so good. Talk tactility. It's a bit floaty, but I still feel all the texture of the road. The power steering, it's light, but it's giving me feedback. I kind of know what's going on up there. The front and rear of the car feels slightly separated, like it's pulling around like it's on a trailer, not because it's fully disconnected, but just because there's a little bit of delay in the body roll. The throttle is instantly responsive, but there's a big space at the beginning of the pedal that's fairly dead, and you only really notice that when you're going from a dig, from a stop, because that's when you're trying to balance that clutch to get it rolling. But man, does this engine sound so good, especially in that mid-range. It's just got that beautiful hum. Now the joy of a manual SL cannot be overstated. automatics in these cars, to me, are kind of dogs. I mean, they're very enjoyable, but they always shift really clunkily. They shift at ultra low RPMs. You never really get the sensation that you get to exercise them as sports cars. They feel too luxurious. Whereas when you have a proper manual, you feel like you can really get into it a little bit. Oh, we love to see a cop car as a Tahoe. Yeah, more Chevys. Top gear, fourth gear, about 50 miles an hour, 3,000 RPM. That ZF5 starting to look pretty darn good to me for highway cruising, but this will still do the job. You'll just be revving it out a little bit. Now the brakes are actually pretty good. When that rear end responds, oh, it feels so tucked in. I just love the mid-range of this inline six. So that's gonna do it for the 280 SL. Gonna go try to avoid the rain here and hopefully don't get this beautiful interior wet. We're gonna go tuck it into the garage at Bond Group. Thanks to Bond Group for tossing me the keys to this little classic. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. I hope some vintage drive therapy gives you a little inspiration to either go out and drive some things you wouldn't normally drive, or maybe inspire some new lust for a car you wouldn't have otherwise thought about.